Hey, friend. So, as you know, the No Kings protest was held on Saturday, and there was a massive turnout. Major cities, Chicago, Boston, New York, Philly, there was a massive turnout. So what I did was I went on to X and I grabbed some screen grabs and some videos from Mike Johnson so that I can show you the contrast between the leader of the Republican House and the leader of the Democratic House and their language and the things that they say. And I want you to figure out for yourself who seems more credible. Also, please pay attention to the way that Mike Johnson talks and the way that he looks like he's constipated whenever he speaks and how his eyes just seem to dart all over the place when he's talking to someone. Like he can never really hold direct eye contact for a long period of time. It's just hilarious to me the way that these people sit here and lie in your faces. But here we are.
Welcome to the shit show. Welcome to the shit show. Every single day, a new flavor of fuckery. 'Cause everybody's such, you see, and they're dumber than a bag of flies.
But tomorrow, this rally is not about freedom. It's about the opposite.
Look at this. Millions of people across the country marching as we speak against the policies of President Trump. This is Boston. Look at that. We'll continue to follow these rallies throughout the day here on MSNBC. Wow. All right, come in.
Nobody fucking with me in these streets. Ain't nobody got time for that. Ain't nobody got time for that. Ain't nobody got time for that. The what? Shit. Shit.
For many of our Democrat colleagues, tomorrow is about creating really a spectacle. That's what they've been doing here every day of the shutdown with their...
Oh my God, what the fuck? Oh my God. Oh my God, what the fuck?
There's no way to sugarcoat it. Nobody likes Democrats anymore. We have no voters left because of all of our woke trans bull. Not even black people want to vote for us anymore. Even Latinos hate us. So we need new voters.
Only 4 hours after President Trump met with Democratic congressional leaders at the White House to discuss the looming government shutdown, the commander-in-chief posted an AI-generated video on Truth Social, which mocks Senator Chuck Schumer and Rep. Hakeem Jeffries. The faux footage shows Jeffries, depicted with a mustache and sombrero, standing stone-faced next to Schumer, who, in a fake voice, argues in favor of giving illegal aliens free health care as part of an effort to court new voters for the Democratic Party, all while a traditional Mexican folk song plays in the background.
And if we give all these illegal aliens free health care, we might be able to get them on our side so they can vote for us. They can't even speak English, so they won't realize we're just a bunch of woke pieces of at least for a while until they learn English and they realize they hate us too.
Schumer and Jeffries were livid over the AI post. If you think your shutdown is a joke, it just proves what we all know. You can't negotiate.
Good evening from New York. I'm Chris Hayes. Donald Trump wants to be a king. It's the best explanation for everything he's been doing just in recent days. Just look at what he's doing right now to the White House. That is, of course, the people's house. It's our house as Americans, as citizens. There it is. The residence of every president since John Adams in 1800. And that is more destruction the White House has seen since the troops for the British crown burned it down the War of 1812. Trump wants the White House to be a kingly palace, and so he is doing his own renovation. He's ripping up the East Wing to build a grand gilded ballroom unilaterally. No one in Congress was asked to appropriate funds for this. In fact, when I saw the plans announced, I assumed they'd smuggled it into the one big beautiful bill because, of course, they could have done that. They could have gotten congressional authorization. But no one even got a say.
We are going to make and build a ballroom, which they've wanted for probably 100 years at the White House. And it'll be a world-class, beautiful ballroom.
For 150 years, presidents, administrations, and White House staff have longed for a large event space on the White House complex that can hold substantially more guests than currently allowed.
This is going to be one of the best anywhere in the world. There won't be anything like it, actually.
I mean, it was pretty big before. We seem to do okay as a country with it. Trump announced he was going to do that at the end of July. It was set to cost $200 million, which he said he would get from private donors, including Comcast, the current parent company of our network. Now, the cost has already swelled to $250 million. And by the way, no one talks about this when they report on this, but I just have to point out, there's a law in the books. It's from the 19th century. It's been updated multiple times. It's called the Anti-Deficiency Act, and it very expressly forbids spending money on government projects that have not been appropriated by Congress.
Little TikTok videos and their publicity stunts, and they're going to do it in a much larger venue tomorrow. And as the shutdown drags on, it's becoming increasingly clear that this spectacle is the reason the Democrats have refused to reopen the government. Just read a sample of the materials that this organizing group has circulated far and wide about the event tomorrow.
So as you see, I have some screen grabs that I was able to get from Mike Johnson's account on the X platform. I'm not going to stop to read them because it's all garbage, but you can pause the video if you'd like so that you can read what they say.
They distributed talking points cheering on the shutdown. I mean, they're urging this on. They love this. They're cheering on Chuck Schumer's decision to close the government, and their lead organizer said this is his words, not mine, quote, "He hasn't surrendered yet. I call that progress." Maybe that's what led Chuck Schumer to say that every day of the shutdown gets better for us. That's what he said.
So, Mr. President, we enter another week of Donald Trump's government shutdown. And Republicans seem happy not to work, happy not to negotiate, happy to let health care premiums spike for over 20 million working and middle-class Americans. Our country is staring down the barrel of a healthcare catastrophe, and Republicans will spend this week either vacationing or holding pep rallies at the White House. It's been over a month since the House of Representatives even took a single roll call vote. That's shameful. That's derelict. Government workers must work without getting paid. House Republicans get paid without working. What about the Democrats? Our position remains the same. We want to end the shutdown as soon as we can and fix the ACA premium crisis that looms over 20 million hardworking Americans and many tens of millions more whose premiums will also go up. Look, the ACA premium crisis is not a fix-it-later issue, like Republicans keep pretending it is. It's a fix-it-now issue, because very soon Americans are going to have to make some really difficult choices about which health care plan they choose for next year. When they see the amounts of money, when they see the increase in the number of dollars that these premiums will cost them because the tax credits expire, $500 a month, $600 a month, $1,000 a month, for older couples in the over $20,000 a month, they're going to have to make an awful choice. Do I cut out health care altogether and be left alone? Or do I cut back on everything else to afford a health care plan? Do I have to look for a new plan with different doctors, different hospitals, higher copays, higher premiums? Every American, just about every American, or so many Americans, tens of millions, are going to have to start making that choice the next month. Health insurance prices under the ACA are now available in about a dozen states, and Americans in those states are already seeing with their own eyes the horrifying truth, what we've been warning about for months, that multiple millions of people are going to pay tens of thousands of dollars more for health care, so vital to Americans. When you are in a family and you know you can't provide health care for them, or a much reduced health care, and you look at your spouse, you look at your kids, and you say, what am I going to do if they get sick? What a frightening experience for people that Republicans are putting America through, all because they wanted to cut all this health, cut Medicaid and cut so much else in health care to pay for tax cuts for the wealthy. It's just perverse. It's inside out. It's upside down. And let's be clear about who will get hurt if these tax credits expire. Republicans have been lying about that too. If the ACA premium tax credits expire, the majority of people who will pay more out of pocket are working and middle-class families. In fact, the majority of people who benefit from the expiring tax credits live in Republican districts. The state of Louisiana, home of Speaker Johnson, is one of the states about to suffer most. I read an article last week from CNBC. It said, the headline, ACA enhanced subsidy lapse could hit early retirees hardest. Middle-class couples in their 50s and early 60s who are too young to qualify for Medicare face the largest dollar increase in premium payments. One Idaho couple interviewed by CNBC will see their premiums spike not by 50%, not by 100%, by 300%. $15,000 more a year just to have health insurance. That's what financial ruin looks like. In fact, if these tax credits expire, older Americans could end up spending 30% of their income just on health care premiums. Can you imagine? What kind of country do we live in? What kind of party is this Republican Party that is unwilling to solve this problem, which is staring Americans in the face, frightening Americans from one end of the country to the other? And yet Republicans, what are they doing about it? Nothing. They're on vacation. It's unacceptable and morally repugnant. Democrats are demanding nothing more or less than what the overwhelming majority of Americans already want. Even a majority of MAGA voters want it. 58% of those who voted for Trump say renew the tax credits on into next year.
Since then, Democrats have had their 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th opportunities to reopen the government, and they have obeyed the mob. They have listened to that. On Wednesday, this is pretty ominous. I don't know if anybody's reported on this, but you should. The lead organizer of tomorrow's event issued an open threat to Democrats in Washington, and this is what he said, quote, the cavalry is coming in on October 18th, and they're either going to be celebrating you or they're going to be calling for new leadership in the Democrat Party.
So here's a screen grab of Mike retweeting a post where they're saying that the No Kings protest is being funded by Soros.
Now, I know who heard that. Chuck Schumer heard it. Hakeem Jeffries heard it. And their actions and their votes show that they are taking that as an order. Evidently, they've decided it's more important to show a fight to President Trump and appease this mob than to reopen the government and ensure the American people are taken care of. But tomorrow, this rally...
There's legislation in the Senate to pay air traffic controllers during the shutdown. If that does pass in the Senate, would you bring the House back to vote on that? And then, absent congressional action, would you work with the White House to find a way to pay air traffic controllers during the shutdown? And where would you pull that money from?
Well, let me answer the questions in reverse order. We did work with the White House to get air traffic controllers paid. It's called the Clean CR. We passed it in the House September 19th. By my count, it's 33 days ago. It's been...
Sean Duffy just said that air traffic controllers are going to miss a paycheck.
Yes, yes. They're trying to find... The White House has bent over backwards to mitigate the harms to the American people. We got WIC funded by a bootstrap in a 1930s era statute regarding tariff revenue. He found unobligated funds in the R&D accounts at DOD, get the troops paid in the middle of October. But we're running out of resources. They're running out of creative ideas, and there is not an existing pot of money that could cover the air traffic controllers' salaries right now. And so that is why we have to get the government reopened. Again, every Republican has voted repeatedly to do that very thing, to pay everyone and make all this madness stop. And the Democrats have now voted 13 times to keep the government closed.
Thank you, Pete. Thank you, Catherine. Questions?
Has Speaker Johnson reached out to you at all since the January 6er made a threat on your life?
No.
Thank you, Mr. Leader. At this point, do you think a new CR is needed past that November 21st date? And if so, what would be an acceptable end date? And would it have to be paired with some type of vote on an ACA extension?
What we need to occur right now is what Democrats have maintained from the very beginning. At this point, we need to reopen the government. We need to enact a spending bill that actually meets the needs of the American people in terms of their health, their safety, and their economic well-being, particularly in terms of driving down the high cost of living, while at the same time decisively addressing the Republican health care crisis that grows graver by the day. Our position over the last several weeks has remained consistent. Cancel the cuts, lower the costs, save health care, address the urgency of the expiration of the Affordable Care Act tax credits. This is not a partisan issue. And that's why we've seen Democrats and now many Republicans, traditional conservatives and right-wing conservatives like Marjorie Taylor Greene, all acknowledge what Democrats have been saying for weeks, which is that the Congress needs to act to extend the Affordable Care Act tax credits to prevent tens of millions of Americans from experiencing dramatically increased premiums, copays, and deductibles. Those increases will devastate the American people. It's unacceptable. And House Republicans need to cancel their vacations, get back into town so we can do the business of the American people.
All right, friend, and that's the end of our video for today. Make sure that you like, share, and subscribe. If you have any suggestions on what you would like to see or hear, just make sure that you leave a comment down in the comment section. I'll get back to you. I want to thank everybody for tuning in and have a good night.